Clementine returned this year when the comic book entitled Clementine Lives dropped in July. Book 1 of Clementine's continued story will be with us in 2022 when the first book of 3-book trilogy lands in June. Stay with us as today we're answering questions created by Season 4 of the Walking Dead game, plus any other related loose ends. First, let's discuss Clementine's return. So as we know, Clementine has left the boarding school and abandoned AJ, leaving him with the Coalition, as Clementine does not appear to be herself. It appears as though she thought it was for the benefit of AJ that she left him. The plot of the books picks up as a direct continuation of the comic books, which came out in July. And we can reveal that Clementine is back, solo, out on her own, trying to start afresh and leave the trauma of her past behind her. Clementine ventures north where she ends up in an abandoned ski resort in Vermont after randomly meeting a young Amish kid called Amos. The pair travel together to Vermont and attempt to build a new walker-free settlement with their new friends. But all is not what it seems when the winter sets in. They find that the biggest threat they face could actually be themselves. As teenagers, they have to battle normal things like friendship, rivalry, and romance. The book is written by Tilly Walden, who wrote the last comic book, and is described as a coming-of-age tale of survival, so hopefully we get some much-needed answers. It'll be interesting if the author can correct the perceived wrongs of the comic book, but only time will tell. Will you be reading the book when it arrives next summer? Let us know below. Let's look at some unresolved loose ends from Telltale The Walking Dead Season 4, starting with Krista's baby. The fate of Krista's baby was never explained, and even Clementine believes the baby has died after she says, "not again," after she thinks AJ dies. The baby dying theory is probably the most likely, with a lot of fans coming to the conclusion that the baby was either miscarried or stillborn, as they believe Krista would have protected the baby no matter what. Other fan theories have suggested that the baby died of hypothermia after Krista's tells Clementine she needs to make a fire to cook and stay warm before breathing a heavy sigh. Some people have taken this side to mean that the baby succumbed to the cold. What do you think about this one? Next up, what happened to Molly? Stay tuned to hear our theory. As we know, Molly is a survivor and we think she has the necessary attributes to still be alive somewhere. It's likely she left the town after she picked Savannah clean, but we do not know for sure. What do you guys think? Molly has an interesting character in the game series for sure, but it's strange how much limelight she's offered after only appearing in one episode. There have been rumors that a Molly-centered game might be in the works, but remember that Telltale don't have the rights for the game. Next, we're discussing what happened to Mike, Arvo, and Bonnie. Stay with us. Fans have been dying to know what happened to these guys since Season 2, with a lot of people calling for Arvo's head after what he did. But we don't quite know as it's never been addressed. And what about Bonnie? She can die in 2X05, which might mean she died, or could alternatively mean she stayed alive to be killed off later. So many questions and theories. What happened then? Did Kenny and Jane just throw them out? Did they decide to go it alone? Were they murdered? Kenny mentions at one point that they ran off into the woods, so maybe they froze to death? Did the walkers see them off? We just don't know. What are your theories on these three? We're talking about where James went after his fight with Clementine next. This one has been the basis of a lot of theories, and we cannot decide which one we like best. There are a few ways in which James's story can play out. First of all, and maybe the simplest, he dies at the hands of the walkers. Seems a little basic for James. What do you think? Next, which is the one we like the most, he stays behind to kill the walkers, meaning AJ, 10, and Clementine can get away. You guys think of this one? Another theory suggests James goes rogue and heads off on his own. There have been talk that he would reappear in the cabin when playing as AJ in 4X04. What do you see as AJ's most likely fate? Next up, we're discussing Delta. Stay tuned. So as we know, Season 4 certainly gave us more questions that we want answered, none more so than the motives of Delta. What do they want? Also, we don't know when exactly in the timeline this game is taking place, but one theory has suggested that Delta is fighting against New Frontier. Richmond is mentioned a couple of times, with Clem calling it a war zone and Abel also talking about it. Are the Commonwealth involved? We guess it's possible possible if Delta are trying to recruit fighters and Jesus knows about New Frontier as he's helping them out. Who knows? Give us your thoughts below. And what about Jesus? Did he go back to Richmond? We know that at the end of Season 3, Javier is given the choice of becoming a leader, which is ultimately a choice the player has to make. But did Jesus head back to Richmond to link up with the Commonwealth and return to the New Frontier? His story continues in the comic book series, but we are unsure of his fate in the game. The upcoming Clementine story will shed some light on it. Next, we're looking at what happened to the rest of the 400 Days group. Fans were pining for more information and more focus on the 400 Days characters, as not much has been made of them and they're ultimately treated pretty badly. We know that Roman is dead and fans have been led to believe that the rest of the group also perished. We can assume that Justin has either died on the prison bus or out in the woods whilst trying to locate Carver's community. A lot of fans believe that the 400 Days group did not particularly matter, however, so their fates have largely fallen to the wayside, sadly. What happened to Lee's wife? Stay with us, as we're tackling this one next. As we know, Lee had it to him to commit murder after what he did to his wife's lover. The pair became estranged after Lee's legal battle, and his wife ultimately became a sensitive topic. Lee said, "My wife, I hurt her a long time ago, in a lot of ways. She traveled for work, and I didn't like that. I wanted a family, so we fought. And it made my biggest fear come true. I got sick one day on my way to class, canceled it, and went home. Found her there with someone else, killed him. I was mad at her for so long, and I can't imagine how much pain she felt." Lee has the option to come clean when talking to the stranger about his wife's fate, but decides not to. Maybe he didn't harm her at all. Lee and the rest of his family are all dead at this point, but it would be interesting to see if his wife was still around, as she would be the only person still alive who knew Lee. Next up, was it the New Frontier who attacked Wellington? We want to know what happened with this one, as if you stayed in Wellington, they kill Edith, who was Clementine's friend for a long time. We can't believe that Clem would be involved with the group if they have harmed Edith, so we'd like this one to be cleared up. The character model that was seen to attack Wellington looks the exact same as the one from New Frontier. However, Telltale has reused these before, so this could be the case once again. On the other hand, we know that Joan has coerced the group into attacking settlements before. What do you guys think? Let us know below. Saving arguably the most important one to last, what happened to Krista? We've been programmed over the years to know that if we don't see a body, then characters are not really dead, right? Well, is this the case with Krista? When Clem sneaks away, Krista is stabbed in the legs. As we know, being stabbed in the legs can be potentially deadly if the blade hits an artery, so this theory is definitely plausible. On the other hand, if you distract the scavengers, it's possible for Krista to make her getaway. You can hear screams and gunshots, but this is inconclusive as to her fate. What are your theories on Krista? Let us know below. As always, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to stop by next time for some more discussion. Why not share this video with your Walking Dead fan friends? Bye, guys.